Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome to another update in my Pan Those Eyeshadows project pan. This is another exciting update because I've hit another pan in this project, which I'm super excited for because I know in my last update I actually didn't hit a pan, so I'm excited to be kind of feeling like a little bit more back on track, more successful, hitting another pan this month. I'm also still in my office, but I turned my camera direction. I am trying to figure out the lighting. Like, I have 3 huge windows right in front of me, but I think because the sun is on the other side of the house, like the lighting here is a little bit off, and so I'm still trying to kind of figure that out. I think if I just maybe went head on, it would be the best, but then there would be like literally nothing in the background, and so I'm not sure if that's like the vibe I want. I don't know. I'm probably overthinking this, and you're all like, we don't care as long as we can see like what you're talking about, right? But I feel like as a YouTuber, thinking about like what's behind you, like you want it to be aesthetic, and like you also want the lighting to be right, so it's a good experience for the viewer. So I don't know, I'm still working that out. That is still very much a work in progress, but eventually we'll get it right, and then I'll probably stay in that spot. But until then, you might see me like bouncing around this room everywhere. But anyway, this video, like I said, is my 11th update in my Pan Those Eyeshadows project pan. So I've been doing this project since January. That was like the intro video, and then every month at the beginning of the month, I would do an update. And so now it's obviously the beginning of December, so I'm doing my update for December. And then at the end of December, I'm going to do my finale. So we'll talk about the update, or the progress, I guess, that I've made over the course of December. And then we'll also just really talk about like the project in general and all of the pans I hit and kind of how I felt about it, and really just do a little bit of deeper dive into this project. Although you probably all know I love my Pan Those Eyeshadows project. I have so much fun with it. And then I think in January, we're gonna kick it off with another one, and we're gonna kind of stop where we left off at the finale, and we'll pick 5 new shades and we'll get it going again. So I hope all of that is exciting and interesting to you. If it is, make sure you're subscribed to my channel. Make sure you check out my Pan Those Eyeshadows playlist. I do a lot of panning type videos, so definitely check those out as well. And without further ado, what we're gonna do first is jump into the numbers, because there's been some major updates this past month. And then we will talk about the eyeshadows. I will show you the eyeshadow I hit pan on, and then we will roll a new one in. So let's go ahead and get into it. I have my spreadsheet up on my computer right here. So one thing that I like to do with this project is actually keep a pretty detailed list of like where my eyeshadow collection stands. And I also have a list of all my eyeshadows, because that makes it a lot easier when randomly selecting eyeshadows for this project, which I guess I should probably explain the project first before I jump into the numbers for those of you who are not familiar. So how this project works is I have a list, like I mentioned, of all my eyeshadows, and then I randomly select 5 to work on. And I can work on those 5 until I hit pan on one of them. And if I hit pan, I would roll it out at the next update and then randomly select a new one to roll in its place. Or I could use it at least 20 times and then roll it out after those 20 times if I feel like pan is like really, really far away and never going to happen, or if I just don't like love using the eyeshadow. So I had a couple of those instances, but pretty much every other rollout other than 2, I think, was because I hit pan. And then last month I didn't hit any new pans, but I just love rolling new shadows into this, and so I did roll a new one in. So I've been working on 6 eyeshadows for the past month, so I'm actually gonna continue that in December because I did hit pan. I'm still gonna roll a new one in, so it'll still be 6, if that makes sense. But let's go ahead and talk about the numbers. In November, I had 231 eyeshadows in my collection, and now I currently have 213 eyeshadows in my collection. And that is because I did a declutter, and I got rid of single shadows, and I got rid of a couple of palettes. So now 15 of my eyeshadows are singles, and 198 of my eyeshadows are across 11 different palettes. So definitely my numbers have gone down, although my pan number has also gone up. So in November, I had 22 pans of eyeshadow, but obviously I hit a new pan in this project this month. And so now I have 23 pans of eyeshadow across my whole collection, or eyeshadows that have pan on them, I guess is probably a better way to say that. So with the amount of eyeshadows in my collection going down because of my declutter, and then also the amount of eyeshadows that have pan going up, my pan percentage went from 9.52% to 10.8%. So excited about that because my goal for this year was 10%. And so we have, I'd say, blown it out of the water. Now, I think we probably would have hit it even if I hadn't decluttered eyeshadows. So like, I feel better about that. But honestly, like, I wasn't using those eyeshadows. It didn't make sense for them to be in my collection anymore. And so I'm glad that I actually passed them along. I gave them to friends this past weekend. So hoping that they'll be in a better home and actually get good use on them. And yeah, I'm so happy that we've hit our 10%. And maybe depending on how this next month goes, we could get really close to maybe hitting 11% pan across my entire eyeshadow collection. So that could be really cool. Although there are a couple eyeshadow palettes that I have my eyes on. So anytime, obviously, I bring new eyeshadows in, my pan percentage will go down. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. And then what that leaves me with is 190 eyeshadows that are eligible to be rolled into this project. So super excited about all of that. Really great numbers update. And let's go ahead and talk about the eyeshadows that I have been using in this project. I'm gonna go ahead and start with Morphe Positivity. I'm really not gonna spend a lot of time here because the update is pretty much the same as the update always is. I'm really just not using this one that much, but I don't want to remove it because the fact that I've even used it 3 times this month is 3 times more than I would if it wasn't in this project. And so I'm gonna leave it in. I only have 1 more month anyway, and then obviously I'll roll in new shades. So I'll just be happy with the progress in general that we can make on this. So like I said, I only use this one 3 times. It's not my favorite. I don't tend to pull for it that often, but it is a really pretty shade. It's just, for me, it's a little hard to wear, especially like right now. Like, this is a bright coral shade, and like I'm wearing a lot of red lipstick and stuff like that, and honestly it just like doesn't really go. So definitely trying to figure out a ways to make this work, but I'm having a hard time, and thus the 3 uses this month. There are eyeshadows though that I'm using a lot more than 3 times, and 2 of them are coming from my So Jaded Kathleen Light's ColourPop palette. So I put a lot of work in on the 2 shades that are in this palette that are in this project, and that is Your Gem and Garnet. So starting with Your Gem, I used this 15 times this month. I absolutely love this shade for my crease shade. I feel like it fits perfectly in the crease. It's like the perfect shade for that. And I've used it quite a bit, but like, it looks like there's barely any usage on this pan. I just feel like these ColourPop shades are pretty tightly packed and they last a long time, but there are absolutely no complaints having this one in this project. I pull for it pretty much every time I'm wearing eyeshadow because it's just such an easy crease shade and makes a lot of sense to be used for that. And then I also have a pretty good size dip going down into Garnet, and that's because for a while, I was laying this all over my lid and then putting on a shade from my ABH Jackie Aina palette on top of it, which I will talk about that soon because that's also in this project. And then also I've been wearing it a lot in my outer corner, and that's how I'm wearing it today. And I'm hoping actually to be able to hit pan on it by the end of this month. I think that might be a bit of a stretch because I feel like these pans are pretty deep, and while I think I have a good size pan going in this one, I'm not sure that it's actually as significant as I am imagining it to be. But anyways, that being said, it's still going to be my goal to hit pan on Garnet by the end of December, so we will see if I can do it. But I've absolutely loved working on both of these shades. They've just been really easy to work with. I love the color story of them paired together because obviously I wear them a lot together, and I don't know if I mentioned how many times I wore Garnet. I wore Garnet 13 times this month. So a lot of these 2 being worn together, obviously by the numbers as well. So big fan of those, and I think you can tell at least by the progress that I made in Garnet, but certainly by the numbers that those 2 have been faves. I decided to roll in a new shade last month even though I hadn't hit pan, just for fun. Not something I would do every month that I don't hit pan, because then I'd be working on a ton of eyeshadows probably by the end of the year. But because it was November, I was like, I think it's gonna be okay to work on 6 shades for the next 2 months. And so what I ended up doing was rolling in this shadow from my Jaclyn Hill Morphe palette volume 1, and this is the shade Obsessed. And I used this 11 times this month, so it's been one that I've definitely been pulling for. Mostly used just like picking it up on my finger and then using it all over my lid, which is how I'm wearing it today. And this one's been really great because it's just like a nice shimmery shade. I feel like I have a lot of mattes in this project, and so just to have a really light whitish, pinkish, shimmery shade has been really nice to work with. It's just been super easy to work with. It's been really versatile for me. I can use this in my inner corner. I can use this as like a topper for a halo eye. I can use this all over the lid. So it's been really versatile, and I feel like even with the 11 uses, there's already a little bit of a dip going down in here. I don't know if it's enough to be able to hit pan by the end of this month, but that would be cool if I could get some good progress on it over the next 30 days or so to be able to see a little bit more on that one, but time will tell. The next two shades come from my ABH Jackie Aina palette. I was obviously holding this because there's two shades in here and one of them I hit pan on. I didn't want to talk about the shade that's staying in this project and then go to another eyeshadow in one of my other palettes and then come back to this one to talk about the shade that I hit pan on. So that is why I saved this palette for last, but let's quickly talk about the shade that's still staying in this project, and that is this purple shade called Big Wig, and I used this 7 times this month. Honestly, mostly on my lower lash line. I have been having the same kind of issue, and it's not really an issue, but just same comment about this eyeshadow since the very beginning. It's just a little patchy and not as pigmented as I would expect from it. And so sometimes it's a little challenging to work with, especially if you like you're trying to do like put it in your outer corner or lay it all over the lid. And so a way that I've found that it kind of always works is just kind of smudging along the lower lash line, and it doesn't come out too harsh because it's not super pigmented, but obviously that's a really slow progress way to use an eyeshadow. But to be honest, like that's really how I've mostly been using it this past month. However, there is an eyeshadow coming from this palette that I've used a lot over the course of this project and have successfully hit pan. So that is the shade Sponsored right here. I am so excited to have hit pan on this one. I had been using it pretty regularly all over the lid as my shimmer shade. So like I had mentioned earlier, I put down Garnet and then put this one down over top of it. I've really found a lot of ways to kind of use this shade in general, just like on my lid, and I think it's a stunning shade. It's really cool duochrome. It looks brown, it looks green, it looks purple. It's just really fun to work with. I've loved using it. I mostly used my finger, and so the actual dip in the shadow is quite big, and then I have what I'd say is a pretty good sized pan on it. So really excited to have hit pan on this one, and honestly, like I just really enjoyed using it, and it didn't feel like it took very long. And then when I counted up the numbers, I realized it really didn't take very long. I know ABH like shimmers are pretty easy to hit pan on, and I also was laying this like all over my entire lid, so I was using a good amount of product too. I don't think I've ever hit pan though, like with my finger versus a brush, and this one I did. So just really excited about that and happy to have another pan now in my collection. And it was just cool because I really enjoyed using this shadow and really liked the looks I created when I was using it. So for numbers, this month to hit pan, I only had to use it 7 times, and then total since it rolled in, I used Sponsored 43 times. So definitely significantly less than some of the other shades that I've had throughout this project that have taken me a lot longer to hit pan. So really happy with that 43 uses number to be able to hit pan on that one, and just really happy in general about the progress that I made across my collection. So excited about that, but my favorite part of these videos is rolling a new eyeshadow in to work on. Now that we've kind of talked through everything, what's going, what's staying, let's randomly select a new eyeshadow to start working on. Is the number. And shocker, we are back in the So Jaded ColourPop palette. I don't know how, but this always happens where I just continue to select shades from the same palette, and I don't know why, because it's literally a randomizer, but it always randomly selects from the same areas, I feel like. And maybe that's just in my head, but this is the 3rd eyeshadow now that I'm working on from So Jaded ColourPop, but it is what it is. That's what the randomizer selected. I don't like to cheat and reselect, so we're just gonna go with what we got. And I'm actually really excited about what we got because we got the shade Sunstone. And funny enough, I had been wearing a red lip a few times this past weekend because they are in my Shop My Stash. And to be honest, a lot of the shades in my Pan Those eyeshadows are pretty like intense colors and don't always, in my opinion, look great with a red lip. And so I had picked up So Jaded ColourPop because I was obviously using You're a Gem for my crease shade because that still works with a red lip. And I was like, okay, I just need a quick shade to pop on my lid because when I'm wearing like a really vibrant lip color like a red, I usually try and do a little lighter on the eye so we're not like competing, having a lot going on both. And so I honestly then just dipped my finger into Sunstone and used that all over the lid. And I think I did that a couple times this past weekend. And so really funny that now it was selected to be rolled in. So that actually works out well because a shade that is now in my Pan Those eyeshadows I can be using when I'm wearing my red lips this month. So excited about that. I think it will probably be impossible for me to hit pan on that one because like I said, I've used it a few times and it looks like it's never been touched. So I don't think pan will be coming on that, but that one will be a good one to just work on this month. I'm really excited about this update. I'm excited about the new shade that I rolled in and obviously excited that I got to share with you that I hit another pan. Super excited that we hit the pan percentage. That was my goal for this year. So how I like to end these videos is actually do like a get ready with me where you see how I'll use all these eyeshadows in a look. So the next clip of me you'll see is me taking all of these shades and creating an eyeshadow look that hopefully is cohesive. So see you in a sec. Hello, I am back to do my eye makeup. I already have my foundation and I've powdered. So we are just going to jump right in, if I can find the brush that I want. Of course, it was over there in my makeup bag instead of with my brushes over here. All right, so what we're gonna do first is a little crease combo. So I'm actually going to dip into 2 shades for my crease color. So I'm first gonna grab You're a Gem from my Kathleen Lights So Jaded ColourPop palette, and then I'm also gonna dip into Positivity from my Morphe Jaclyn Hill Volume 2 palette. And then I'm gonna tap off a little excess and I'm gonna work that into the crease. I've done this combo a couple times more recently and I've been liking it, so figured as I'm filming like how to use all those 6 of these shades together that this could be a good way to use both of these. All right, next I'm gonna keep using my So Jaded palette because 3 of my shades come from this palette, and I'm gonna pick up Sunstone, which we just rolled in, and this I'm gonna use all over my lid. And I'm just gonna put it on with my finger because that's kind of how I place on like all shimmer shadows these days. I used to be like all about always using a brush, and I like finally jumped on the using my finger for shimmer shades bandwagon, and now it's the only thing I do to put on shimmers. Gosh, I love that shade so much, and now I'm just gonna blend real quick. All right, next I wanna do a shade in my outer corner. So it's gonna have to be Garnet because that's just how I've been rolling recently. So I'm just gonna pick this up on this brush and place it into my outer corner and just spend some time blending inward. Next, I am grabbing Big Wig from my ABH Jackie Aina palette with this little liner brush, and I'm going to line my upper lash line with it, more so like on the outer half. I actually really like how that came out, but I did get some fallout, so I'm gonna quickly brush that away and then repeat that on the other side. Now I'm just gonna use my pinky to kind of clean it up a little bit and get a little bit sharper of a line. I'm actually excited about how that's turned out. That's actually the first time I put it on with that like precise of a brush. I've done it as liner with like a brush like this and just kind of like smudged it. But I feel like when you're using like a precise brush, it's gonna look a little different. And I'm actually very happy with how that turned out. For my lower lash line, I'm going to do a little bit of Garnet on the outer edge. And then on the inside, I'm gonna pick up You're a Gem again and just do that on the inner half. And then to use my last shade, I'm gonna pick up Morphe Obsessed, again, shimmer, so using my finger, and place this in the inner corner. Okay, I'm like super excited already about how this look turned out, and I don't even have the rest of my makeup on or my mascara, which I feel like always brings it all together. So really excited about what this is looking like. I'm gonna go ahead and finish the rest of my makeup and I'll be right back. So this is the final look. I actually added to my waterline this NYX eyeliner in the shade, I think, Golden Bronze. And I did decide to go with like a bolder lip color, which I feel like normally I probably wouldn't with the eyes, just because like there's a lot going on with these eyes. I feel like with the majority of my color stories this year, I've been able to create like these sunsetty looks, and I feel like today's look is kind of just like that as well. And usually with like a sunset look, I'd probably go nude on the lips, but you know, we're having fun, so I have a bolder lip on as well today. But yeah, I hope all of you enjoyed this video, getting to see, you know, which shade I hit pan on, which is super exciting, getting to roll a new shade in, and then of course getting to see how all 6 shades that I'm now working on work together. Please stay tuned. At the end of this month, we will be doing the Pan Those Eyeshadows finale, which will be super fun, and just kind of wrapping everything up, seeing the progress that I made on the 6 shades that I'm working on in December, but then also kind of just talking about the progress and like the colors and the shades that I worked on throughout this whole year. So I think that's gonna be a lot of fun. And then in January, we will kick it off with another Pan Those eyeshadow. So please stick around if you're interested in watching any of those videos. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And just thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I will see you in my next video.